Hello everyone, good morning. So my name is Murugan. Um, so I've just made this video to give a quick introduction about myself. And before we start, so I have prepared a few reference points to guide me through this introduction so I can present myself clearly and concisely. Right, so let's get started. So myself, Murugan, you can also call me as Muru, and I've been working as a Scrum Master and a delivery lead over almost for the last 10 plus years. Right, as a Scrum Master, what are the different things that I do? I run the sprint planning sessions, backlog refinement, retrospective, daily stand-ups, and the review, the sprint review. Right, so what are the primary work? What's the primary work that I actually do? So other than facilitating the sprint ceremonies, right? So I remove impediments for the team and protect the team from the external noise, and I work with the product owners, stakeholders, the business analysts, and people outside the team, right? So where we have to actually coordinate. Right, I make sure that I support the team end to end on whatever that they actually do in order to meet the delivery commitments that we have. And so when it comes to daily scrum or the daily stand up, right? So I just make sure that the team understands why we do the daily scrum rather than just doing it for the sake of doing it, right? So why do we do a daily scrum? So we actually go into the sprint with a sprint goal, and as per the sprint goal, so everyone has as a goal that they have to achieve the sprint, right? And so they actually go into a day with a particular goal in mind, right? And so probably by the end of the day they would have achieved it, or they may not have achieved it. And if they have achieved it, well and good. And if they have not achieved it, so what is that that retracted them from achieving their sprint goal? And is there anyone else from the team can help or support them in order to achieve the sprint goal? At the end of the day, the sprint goal is common to the team, so it's all about achieving the sprint goal together as a team, right? And then the sprint review, right? So we look at what we have achieved in the sprint and what we have not achieved, what was the plan, and measure ourselves against what we have achieved, right? And then so with that data you actually go into the sprint retrospective, and then see what is that you can actually do differently, right? So you can achieve the sprint goal, right, for the next sprint. So you do better than what you have done in the sprint, right? And then so take down the action items and then make sure that you actually implement them. So normally I select the top two. So if you have more than say 5 to 10, so we prioritize and then we actually take the top two. And then we go into the sprint planning session where we actually we would normally have a refine the backlog from the regular backlog refinement session that we have, right? So we look at the stories, we discuss, and if everyone is okay, we also estimate, right? Or we may also have estimated during the backlog refinement session itself. And if it haven't been estimated, then we actually estimated during the sprint planning session, right? And then depending on the past velocity, you actually take the stories into the next sprint, right? And then you actually start the sprint. So that sprint becomes a current sprint, right? So these are the typical activities that I do actually as a Scrum Master, and then I also work as an agile delivery lead, right? Following the agile principles and make sure that we actually meet the delivery commitments. So what are the different other things that I actually do? And as per this opportunity, it is data heavy related opportunity. And from my resume, if you have seen, so in the past few opportunities for past few engagements, I have worked closely with teams working on data, right? So typically the ways of working for a team, so that works with data, right? So they'll be working on the data pipelines, the data warehousing, the BI dashboards, ML model lifecycle, experimentation of the A/B testing, and the data governance. So what are the different issues that I actually face? So understanding the uncertainty in data work. So data work itself is not straightforward, right? And for that instance, nothing in software is straightforward, right? You always face issues, you always face uncertainties, but it is a bit more when it comes to actually data, right? And then understanding the research spikes and handling the evolving requirements again. So this is not just for data, it's for other areas as well, right? And then managing the different model validation cycles. So what do I actually do when I work with these teams? I make sure that I own the roadmap to delivery, right? Manage the risk and dependencies, so handle cross-team coordination, report to the senior stakeholders, and manage budget or forecasting. Right. What are the different things I prepare myself for? The RAID logs, dependency mapping, the capacity planning, release planning, quarterly planning, and the executive reporting. So release planning. So what do I actually do? I make sure that so we have different releases planned, right? And then the timelines for those releases, and what are the different prerequisites. We actually say whenever something is done, I actually put that into the release. So this is done with the help of Jira, so or any project management software that we actually use, right? Or work management software. So I have worked with Jira, Azure DevOps, and also ServiceNow boards, right? So give me any work management software, I'll be able to work with it, right? So and I also worked on Confluence, Mural, Power BI, Tableau, right? SQL, and then CI/CD concepts, right? Not just the CI/CD concepts, but I can actually set up a CI/CD pipeline by myself. If you actually ask me to do it, right, I can actually sit and then set up the pipeline. Okay, and then um, so what are the things that will help me to get this job, right? My agile competency, and then so my stakeholder management skills, and risk management skills, release management skills, and um, my facilitation skills, right? Uh, just to name a few, right? There are a lot of other things that I actually work with the team, and so when I work with the team, I make sure that I actually empathize with them, right? So understand their day-to-day issues. So that is where they actually need, right, someone to actually talk to them, right? So someone to support them when they actually face issues, and I'll be that person. So making sure that they get what they actually want, right? They don't feel that they don't feel that they are ignored, right? And then so data, when it comes to data, so across industries it's all the same, right? So you have different data sources, right? And then from these data sources you ingest the data, right, which is called the middle or the black box, right? So what do? You extract the data and you copy it into a central location, and then you keep it in a sync, right? Either batch or the streaming, and that's the data pipeline entry point, right? So what are the different tools that we actually use here, like say Apache Kafka, Apache Airflow, or Fivetran. Right, and also I have actually worked on various GCP related GCP environments, right? So where I have created a number of GCP instances, and I also have created a pipeline, right? But again, so if you ask me to create a pipeline, I can actually sit and create a pipeline. Okay, but that's not my primary job, but I have the capability to actually do that. So that helps me to work with the developers closely to understand what the issue that they actually face, how they actually do, and what are the things that we actually have to do in order to achieve the delivery commitment that we have made, right? And then you actually get a landing layer. So the landing layer, the data will actually be raw, right? It will be uncleaned, it will be not transformed, and it's actually almost like the source format. So you connect to a number of data sources, right? You get the data and then just keep it in your GCP environment, right? So we use the data lake or the cloud storage if it is in Amazon, right? So data lake in GCP. Okay, so and then comes the analytics layer. So that's let's say Medallion architecture is what you actually follow. So you have the bronze layer. So the bronze layer will have the raw ingested data, minimal transformation, schema enforced, and audit columns added, right? And next comes the silver layer. So here you will clean and standardize the data. You remove the duplicates, apply the joins, data quality checks, business logic introduced, right? And then the gold layer. So here you will have the data which is business ready, aggregated tables, KPIs, dashboard ready data sets, right? And what are the different tools that we actually use? The BI tools, data analysis, executives, machine learning models, right? And then this pattern we normally see in Databricks and also the lakehouse architectures. Okay, so the end-to-end flow summary. So the source systems, we get the data from the source systems, we ingest it, and then we actually get it into the landing layer. Then we do the bronze for the structured data, and then the silver for the clean the data, and then finally the gold, which is business ready, which you will further go and then visualize the data using your BI or say any other software that you actually use. And this is the model that most of the places it actually works. So you may actually do some modifications here and there, right, based on your needs, right? Whether it is in the banking industry or it is in the healthcare or it is in any other industry where which relies heavily on the data. Okay, so the team is actually will typically have a few data engineers. So that's how I have actually worked with in the past. Right, a few data engineers, and then you may have a DevOps engineer, you may have a business analyst, so who works on the data side, right, and then the data architects, and then probably some people from outside of the team who actually support you occasionally, right? So I understand what they speak. I make sure that I convey that to other people, the higher management or anyone else outside the team. As required, I shield the team most of the times, right? And also I make sure that the team interacts with others as required, right? Shielding is not complete shielding. It means that just avoid unnecessary interactions, right, or disturbing our plan. Okay, so that's mostly it. Thank you for listening. And if you feel that I can actually support you in any way, do let me know, right? And feel free to contact me, right? Thank you very much. I will wait for your call. Thank you. Bye.